Reading now from the Gospel of Jesus Christ according to Mark, chapter 14, verses 12 through 26. On the first day of the festival of unleavened bread, the day the lambs for the Passover meal were killed, Jesus' disciples asked him, "Where do you want us to go and get the Passover meal ready for you?" Then Jesus sent two of them with these instructions: "Go into the city, and a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him to the house he enters, and say to the owner of the house, 'The teacher says, where is the room where my disciples and I will eat the Passover meal?' Then he will show you a large upstairs room, fixed up and furnished, where you will get everything ready for us." The disciples left, went to the city, and found everything just as Jesus had told them. And they prepared the Passover meal. When it was evening, Jesus came with the 12 disciples. While they were at the table eating, Jesus said, "I tell you that one of you will betray me, one who is eating with me." The disciples were upset and began to ask him, one after the other, "Surely you don't mean me, do you?" Jesus answered, "It will be one of you 12, one who dips his bread in the dish with me. The Son of Man will die as the Scriptures say he will. But how terrible for that man who will betray the Son of Man. It would have been better for that man if he had never been born." While they were eating, Jesus took a piece of bread, gave a prayer of thanks, broke it, and gave it to his disciples. "Take it," he said. "This is my body." Then he took a cup, gave thanks to God, and handed it to them, and they all drank from it. Jesus said, "This is my blood which is poured out for many, my blood which seals God's covenant. I tell you, I will never again drink this wine until the day I drink the new wine in the kingdom of God." Then they sang a hymn and went out to the Mount of Olives. Four days ago, on October 1st, Sue and Barry Mantle celebrated their 25th wedding anniversary. On the same day, Larry Saby's husband, Dennis, celebrated his 62nd birthday. And just last month, Diane Wright celebrated the birth of her 6th great-grandchild, Gabriel. Lots of celebration, lots of joy, lots of happiness all around. On the same day as I was writing this message, however, CNN reported that 5 more bodies had been found on Japan's Mount Ontake, bringing the total number of presumed dead in the volcanic eruption to 36. With a few more mouse clicks, I then found a report stating that ISIS extremists had released a video showing the beheading of British aid worker David Haines, and that British Prime Minister David Cameron had condemned the slaying as an act of pure evil. And still on the subject of ISIS, in August, the Daily Mail newspaper reported that up to 500 prisoners from the Yazidi faith had been killed by death squads of jihadi gunmen, and that some 40 Yazidi children were reported to be among the dead. So much death, so much killing, so many unanswered questions. When Gabriel Wright, Diane's great-grandson, arrived in the world, there were no problems with his birth, no complications, no difficulties. He arrived into the world already loved. He had been wanted and waited for with excited anticipation. When the Sabby family celebrated Dennis's birthday, they did so with cake, candles, and laughter, I'm sure. They celebrated God's gift of a baby boy, now an adult. They celebrated another significant milestone on that boy's journey through life. And as for Sue and Barry Mantle, well, something tells me they clicked glasses, shared kisses, and reminisced about the years and the love they shared raising kids of their own. But what about the parents of those Yazidi prisoners, who no doubt, like us, welcomed their children into the world with great love? They will now have to let them go, say goodbye to them with tears, bury them in a mass grave somewhere in Iraq. And what about the parents of David Haynes? What will they do now that their son has been taken from them? No more birthdays, no more cake, no more candles, no more milestones to celebrate their baby boy's journey through life. Because for their son, that journey is over. And the spouses and the partners of the victims on Mount Antaki, what will they do? No more anniversaries to celebrate, no more hugs, no more kisses. No more gentle squeezes of the hand. No reminiscing about the years, the joy, and the love they shared raising kids of their own. And that's the backdrop today as we celebrate Worldwide Communion, World Communion Sunday. Joy and sorrow, beauty and ugliness, promise and disappointment, life and death, sin and grace, all of it describing the dichotomy of what we all call life. Now, as you saw during children's time this morning, I looked up the word communion in my dictionary. And among its many meanings, I found this: an instance of sharing or of being in close touch, especially in our thoughts and feelings. Holy Communion, then, would mean to feel in close touch not only with each other, but with our loving and gracious God through the sharing of the bread and the wine. Now, I don't think we can gather here today as fellow followers of Jesus, gather around this table to celebrate Holy Communion without feeling in close touch with those whose hearts are breaking today. They're breaking. And of course, we come with all that breaks our hearts too. For in some measure, all of us, despite our birthdays and our anniversaries, despite the births of our great-grandchildren, despite those moments that fill us with joy and wonder and with gratitude for our blessings, despite all these, all of us here, have our own sorrows and struggles. These are then compounded by the misery of others we can't seem to alleviate. A misery that sees us sitting by, helplessly watching watching in shock and disbelief. But it is good that we are here in this place. As there is a place in God's heart for Sue and Barry Mantle, for Dennis Sabi and Gabriel Wright, and there's a place for those 40 Yazidi children so tragically killed in Iraq, those 36 hikers smothered by ash in Japan, David Haynes so tragically killed at the hands of ISIS. It is good to remember that whatever age we are, whatever our circumstance might be, we are God's children too. Each one of us. And there's a place for us. There's a place for you, and there's a place for me in God's loving heart. It is a place of grace. It is a place where the free, unmerited, unconditional, unending love of God is poured out upon us. It is a place of hope. A place where God meets us and lifts us and inspires us and challenges us and reminds us that in whatever place we find ourselves, God is with us. And in this place today, with the world not only spinning, but seemingly spinning out of control on an axis of hatred and malice and cruelty, perhaps more than at other times, we need to draw a little closer to the loving heart of God. Perhaps more than at other times, we need to draw a little closer to one another. Perhaps more than at other times, we need to remember those who are inside our circle and those who remain outside of it. Perhaps more than at other times, we need to pray deeply and honestly for ourselves and for others, that we might, in being touched by God's Spirit, become instruments of God's grace. That we might become gifts to others and hence gifts to God. So come to this table. Come with your hopes and with your disappointments. Come with your joys and with your sorrows. Come with all that fills you with wonder and with all that breaks your heart. Come to this table amidst the dichotomy of that which we call life. Join fellow Christians from around the world. Come into the nearer presence of God. Come and commune with the one who loves you. Come. For there is a place set just for you. Just for you.